Now at 5, the Missouri State Highway Patrol releases crash statistics from the Memorial Day weekend. Plus, we're going to learn about an event being held this week to raise money for local cancer patients. And
the negotiated debt limit deal faces its first test as lawmakers weigh in on the details. I'm Skyler Henry on Capitol Hill with the hurdles still left for the bill to pass.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
The Missouri State Highway Patrol says 10 people died in motor vehicle accidents across the state over the Memorial Day weekend. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Dow Quick. Authorities released crash statistics from the holiday weekend. There were 314 crashes, killing 10 people. That's down from 13 last year. Police also arrested 130 people for driving while intoxicated. On the water, there were 6 crashes involving boats, but none of them were fatal. There were also no drowning deaths reported. Missouri lawmakers have passed a bill which supporters say would fix laws that unfairly impacted minority communities. One provision of the bill would end the sentencing disparity that imposes the same penalty for selling an ounce of crack cocaine as a pound of powdered cocaine. Another would bar the courts from trying children aged 12 or 13 as adults, except for the most serious violent crimes. Advocates say both laws have been felt most harshly in minority communities. The bill is currently awaiting Governor Mike Parsons' signature. Pretty nice day out there. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy.
Yeah, not a bad Tuesday for us today. Again, fairly warm, most of us 85, 86 degrees over the past couple hours. And we do have a lot of cumulus clouds, some scattered showers and a few thunderstorms which have popped up. Over the past couple hours, you can see them from northwestern Arkansas kind of scattered about southwest Missouri, a little more concentrated once you get out toward the I-35 corridor. But we are going to have these kind of popcorning up over the next several hours. You can see them through Benton County and then up toward Mount Vernon, a couple just east of the metro. Temperatures fairly warm. Most of us are sitting about 85, 86 degrees. We'll have these isolated storms over the next few hours and then they'll calm down and then try to flare up again late tonight into tomorrow morning. Plenty of rain chances. We're going to look at that here in just a little bit.
See you soon. The Mercy Health Foundation is fundraising for the 7th year at their Stick It to Cancer event this week. Officials say this year's total goal is to raise $275,000 by the end of the event on Friday. This year, the foundation is working toward another 3D mammography unit to help patients with breast cancer when it's at its most treatable stage.
Not one of us doesn't have a cancer experience, whether it's a loved one. Like for me, it was my mom, but everybody has a story. And what we're here to do at Mercy Health Foundation is to help draw that line between the donors and the patients and families that we serve.
Lewis's campaign currently has more than 50 sponsors and community supporters for the event. Tickets to participate and sponsor the event are sold out, but individuals can still donate to the campaign. The Joplin History and Mineral Museum today had its Volunteer Gardener Day. The museum invited community members to help plant native species of wildflowers around the historic building. Officials said the event educates the public on native Missouri plants and just how vital they are to the environment.
Having everybody get involved and teaching each other, they have different levels of experience that come out to volunteer. So the master naturalists have been kind of guiding us along in this process. The Missouri Prairie Foundation has been here for a couple of the gardening days, and they're teaching us things as well. So we're all learning together. It's a really cool process.
The museum plans to continue the project throughout Schifferdecker Park and bring the beauty of Missouri prairies back to life. Both the White House and congressional leaders are rallying support for the compromise debt ceiling deal struck over the weekend. But opposition to the bill on the edges of both parties means it's going to need bipartisan support from Republican and Democratic moderates to get it through the House. Reporter Skyler Henry has more details from Capitol Hill.
The debt ceiling compromise faces its first hurdle as the House Rules Committee debates how to advance the legislation.
Folks, if we can stop it there, I will stop it.
The bill, called the Fiscal Responsibility Act, would raise the debt ceiling for 2 years. In exchange, federal spending would remain flat. Unused COVID relief money would be reclaimed, and there would be cuts to the IRS and new work requirements for some people on food assistance programs. It needs buy-in from members of both parties, but won't get any support from the conservative House Freedom Caucus.
This group will oppose it. We will continue to fight it today, tomorrow, and no matter what happens, there's going to be a reckoning about what just occurred unless we stop this bill by tomorrow.
Lawmakers are returning from the Memorial Day weekend, and Speaker Kevin McCarthy is holding a closed-door meeting to sell the deal to his Republican colleagues.
I understand people get upset about walking through a debt ceiling, but this is a House, a Senate, and a presidency. I think when you read the Wall Street Journal, you read the New York Post, you sit back and listen to a lot of economists, they'll say this is the strongest debt ceiling we ever had.
Plenty of Democrats also say they're not happy with this deal. But Democratic leaders pledged there will be enough votes to get the bill passed.
My expectation that House Republicans will keep their commitment to produce at least 2/3 of their conference, which is approximately 150 votes. Democrats are committed to making sure that we do our part and avoid a default.
White House negotiators will brief House Democrats Wednesday morning ahead of the floor vote expected that evening. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Now, the final vote on the debt deal is expected tomorrow evening sometime around 8 p.m., but there are dozens of amendments already being proposed, which is going to make for a long night of voting. 9 people, including several children, are recovering from gunshot wounds in South Florida after shots rang out on the Hollywood Beach boardwalk last night. 3 of the victims have been released from the hospital. 6 others, including 4 children, are in stable condition. Authorities say the gunfire erupted after 2 groups were involved in an altercation. Police say they now have 2 suspects in custody, but they're asking for the public's help identifying others who might have been involved. Officials in Iowa might be facing questions after a survivor was found in the rubble of a partially collapsed apartment building in Davenport, a full day after it was declared empty and ready for demolition today. There's concern more people might still be trapped. Davenport police are working to contact and account for all known residents of the 6-story building at the time of the collapse, but they've yet to reach some individuals. Still ahead, checking your blood pressure on the go.
Blood pressure checks save lives. I'm Master Martinez with a new affordable smartphone device bringing results anywhere, anytime.
And we're going to learn about an FDA proposal to provide new guides for taking prescription medication. Those stories and more next in Health Watch. Topping today's Health Watch, the FDA wants to make it easier to understand how to safely take prescription medication. The agency has been working on this for years. The proposal is a 1-page guide that would include the drug's name, what it's used for, safety information, common side effects, and directions on how to take it. The FDA says nearly 75% of Americans have had trouble taking their medicines as directed. They're asking for public input on the proposal during the next 60 days before finalizing that rule. A diet low in flavonols, the nutrient found in some fruits and vegetables, could contribute to age-related memory loss. Researchers at Columbia and Brigham and Women's Hospital followed 3,500 older adults for 3 years. They found those with poor diets who took a flavanol supplement showed significant improvement in memory compared to others who took a placebo. Scientists create an inexpensive, trustworthy solution to monitor blood pressure while using your smartphone. Reporter Estrid Martinez has more.
At-home check-ins are a must for many people with blood pressure issues. Now, engineers at the University of California, San Diego have developed a new low-cost smartphone attachment that brings blood pressure monitoring to your fingertips. It involves a 3D plastic clip that uses the phone's camera to monitor blood pressure. The attachment simply gets clipped over the smartphone's camera lens and flash. The user then presses a fingertip down on the clip while a custom phone app guides you to take multiple readings readings using different amounts of force. The gadget costs about 80 cents. There are other smartphone blood pressure monitoring devices, but most of those need to be calibrated using an arm cuff as a reference. More than 122 million Americans have high blood pressure, according to the American Heart Association. That's nearly half of all adults in the United States. Researchers hope this technology will make regular blood pressure monitoring easy, affordable, and more accessible to everyone. Astrid Martinez, CBS News, New York.
Scientists say the next steps include increasing the device's compatibility with different skin colors and different types of smartphones, and making the technology in it easier to use. The more you move, the less you hurt. Data analysis of 10,000 Norwegian adults revealed people who were physically active reported a higher tolerance for pain compared to those with a sedentary lifestyle. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, why a French official is threatening to ban Twitter across the entire European Union.
Plus, more thunderstorms in the forecast the next few days. We're going to look at that coming up. Well, it turned out to be another nice one for us today. Temperatures pretty good, mid-80s during the afternoon, and we still have those isolated pop-up thunderstorms once again, like we did see yesterday. Very hit and miss, but the areas that are getting it, you're getting some heavy amounts of rain. Looks pretty good. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. All right, so you can definitely see the cumulus clouds thicker on the Missouri side, plus we had those hit and miss storms, mainly in southwestern Missouri, and then a cluster once you get up toward Emporia, Kansas. Most of us are dry, but again, we have those very isolated thunderstorms. One little cluster, Bentonville, stretching up toward Pineville. As we travel a little farther north, a couple little guys north of Mount Vernon. Here's Lamar, Nevada, a little cluster just north of Fort Scott. And then we have this bigger cluster, which is sinking southeast, but I think most of this action, or at least the more persistent or widespread action, is going to stay in our northern counties and then kind of push up toward Kansas City. But we are going to have the hit and miss scattered storms over the next few hours. And then again, the more concentration of storms will stay to our north. As we go through the night, most of us dry, and then late tonight, so after 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, isolated thunderstorms try to get going again, especially in our northern counties into the morning hours. So we could even see some pretty good rainfall amounts. Iola, Yates Center, Chanute, areas that need it late tonight into tomorrow morning, and then partly sunny skies, and then more thunderstorms to break out again tomorrow afternoon. Look at the temps. 86 Nevada, 87 Oswego. Anderson is sitting at 83, 85 in Miami. We can look outside 7th and Rangeline sitting at 86. Southwesterly winds at about 10 to 15. Evening planner, if you are getting outside, we're going to drop back through the 80s, 70s, 60s, eventually into lower 60s later on tonight. Another big batch of storms later tonight getting going right along the Kansas and Colorado state line. This will kind of drive east, and that's what's going to give us those scattered thunderstorms late tonight into the morning hours. High pressure right out across parts of Texas, and you can see these little kinks in the upper level winds, and that is our weak little waves which are pushing through. All right, let's go through time. Next 48 hours, by morning, cluster of storms, mainly our northern counties, trying to sink a little bit farther south along and north of I-44 through the morning. Then partly sunny skies. We heat up into the 80s again. Late in the afternoon, scattered thunderstorms pop up again. These die down after really sunset for us tomorrow. Heading into Thursday, I don't think we're going to be seeing them as widespread, but still some isolated thunderstorms out there. And this is really the trend each and every day for about the next 10 days. All right, 86 for us tomorrow, 87 on Thursday, 86 Friday. Thunderstorm chances sticking around into the weekend, early next week, then drying out and actually cooling down quite a bit the second half of next week. Until then, the 80s are here to stay.
And the pop-up storms are welcome, certainly to those who might get them anyway.
We need it.
Thanks, Doug. Coming up, world leaders are meeting in Paris to discuss a treaty aimed at reducing global plastic pollution. Topping today's Consumer Watch, a French official is threatening to ban Twitter from the European Union after the social media giant pulled out of the EU's voluntary rules combating disinformation online. Other major tech companies pledged to follow the rules, with the EU's new regulations for governing digital media set to take effect in August. A European commissioner warned that EU teams will be, quote, ready for enforcement. Artificial intelligence could lead to global annihilation, according to a statement from industry leaders, academics, and celebrities. They argue that reducing the risk should be a top global priority alongside battling pandemics and nuclear war. The statement on the Center for AI Safety website is from dozens of experts, including top executives at OpenAI, Google, and Microsoft. Experts say AI is a long way from extreme sci-fi depictions, but several industry leaders are asking Congress to regulate it now before major mishaps might occur. If Memorial Day weekend is any indication, summer is going to be a very busy travel season. The Transportation Security Administration says more than 12 million people were screened beginning on Thursday. That surpasses pre-pandemic 2019 by about 180,000 passengers. The busiest day was Friday, with nearly 3 million travelers. Leaders from nearly 200 nations are on a mission to bring an end to global plastic pollution. Talks are underway in Paris to produce a landmark treaty to tackle that issue. Ian Lee reports from London.
Take a stroll down a beach and you'll likely see plastic pollution. We produce around 500 million tons of it worldwide every year.
Truth is that we cannot recycle our way out of this mess.
World leaders, activists, and industry experts are meeting in Paris this week.
What do we want? Global Plastics Treaty! We want it now!
They're hoping to forge a treaty to limit plastic production, especially those made with hazardous chemicals.
99% of our plastics come from fossil fuels, but it also means that the whole life cycle of plastic starts producing greenhouse gas emissions that continue to drive climate change.
The United Nations Environment Chief says the world is abusing plastic because it's so cheap. The UN has released a blueprint for reducing plastic waste by 80% by 2040, focusing on reusing, recycling, and finding alternative materials.
Current commitments will only reduce plastic pollution by 8% by 2040, so the tap is still wide open.
Norway and Rwanda are leading a coalition driving this global change. But plastic-producing nations and gas exporters like the U.S., Saudi Arabia, and China want the treaty to scale up recycling. The goal, though, is the same: wiping out the plastic that plagues the planet. Ian Lee, CBS News.
Plastics also contribute to global warming, accounting for 3.4% of worldwide emissions in 2019. Final check of the forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, why military members discharged during the era of Don't Ask, Don't Tell are still struggling to clear their records. Then on KOAM News at 6, the Joplin Public Library asks for the public's help in finding a stolen bench. Plus, MoDOT warns Southwest Missouri residents about some planned road construction projects. And we're going to hear from the Joplin Outlaws as they prepare for their season opener this week. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. An online ordering and food delivery service is in the know for this summer's grilling condiments on the go. DoorDash ranks the top condiments purchased for topping your favorite grilled burgers. The data comes from DoorDash orders made from May of 2022 through March of this year. DoorDash says ketchup is number one for burger condiment, but mayonnaise might catch up by 2025. Mayonnaise is number two. Mustard holds steady, especially in the Southeast, as number three for burgers. To each his own, that's fine. Have what you want, but mayonnaise. You like mayonnaise in your burgers?
I do. I think it's really good.
All right, you're part of the reason that it's number two, I guess.
I always put it on there.
All right.
All right, isolated thunderstorms sticking around for the evening hours and really just about each and every day. High temps, mid-80s.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you right back here for KOAM News at 6. Let's make it a great evening.